Robertson. Oh, she's a heck of a lot of fun, Jeanne Robertson.
Hey, y'all, this is Jeanne Robertson. Good morning, afternoon, wherever you are. I am in Nashv'll, Tennessee. I'm at the home right now of a couple of the Nashv'll people, Al McCree and his wife, Peg McCree. Some of you know Peg McCree from a story that we have up on YouTube called The Merch Director. She goes with me often and is the merch director, and that's a great story. Don't go watch it right now because we want you to stay right here. I was in Nashv'll. I came Thursday and did the pop-up from Nashv'll from here, and it was a beautiful day, and we did it in their garage. In the garage, your garage is nasty, Al. You need to clean up your garage. It's awful. And on the wall, he had always told me that he had put my pictures up and framed them when we had these big shows like the Ryman Theater or wherever. And he's hanging them in the garage. I'm out there with cobwebs all over me and everything else. But we had a good time. Many of you tuned in, and we appreciate that. Today, because it is raining and a little bit chilly, we are back inside the house. We couldn't be on their back porch at all. So we are here, and thank y'all for joining in. The reason that I'm here this weekend is that I was on last night at the Grand Ole Opry, and I'm on tonight at the Grand Ole Opry. I don't get much time, but just to be with these wonderful people, and they're so talented, and they're so nice. Do you have the page? Oh, all right. Well, this is who's on tonight. Well, yours truly, but I don't get a lot. I had to cut my story again last night because this is just an amazing thing that they can put this on the radio. This is exciting to all of you who have tickets for my shows around the country. In Tennessee, they're back up to 30%. And Grand Ole Opry, not the Ryman, we're at the Grand Ole Opry building right now, and they seat 4,400 or something. So we had last night 1,450 people there, which is a big jump. I was here in January, we had 300 people. So it's coming back, y'all. It's coming back. Tonight on the Opry will be the Opry Square Dancers, Mark Wills, Riders in the Sky, Jeanne Robertson, Rhonda Vincent, Luke Combs, Nico Moon, George Thorogood. And Patrick, you're going to put up how they can listen in if they want to listen in? Yep. Are you there, Patrick? I'm talking to you. Okay, because Patrick and Tony are on my back porch in Burlington, North Carolina. We've got a lot of stories I want to try out on y'all and share them. Last night, our favorite person, Jeannie Seeley, was on last night, and she said to tell everybody hello. If you will remember, when she came to Burlington, was on the show, this particular show, 3 or 4 weeks ago, her single had just been released from her new album, and it went in and started it. I think I asked last night, her publicist was with her, and she was also here in Burlington, and her husband. They're great people. And you started 175, and Jeannie's song is now up to 101, going down. You want to get down toward the top 10 or the top 5, and just slowly moving forward every week. So thank y'all for all of you who've listened to her song and done these kinds of things. She said hello. Can you? All right, wait, Patrick. You say, does everybody see this little guitar? It's got rhinestones all over it. It goes with this shirt that I travel in a lot of times. And this was Moon River in Branson. And those are rhinestones. But Jeannie gave me this little from the Grand Ole Opry pen. I wore it last night, and I thought I'd put it on here today. So enough about the Opry, but we are having a good time. Everybody's cooperative. Everybody wants as much time as they can get. And
I heard that their gift shop was missing some guitar pins. You didn't hear anything about that, did you?
No, I think Jeannie told us the story that she went in and was rushing so bad she just had to have a T-shirt. And they said, well, Miss Seeley, you want to try it? No. Can you just give me this T-shirt now? And she said she felt so bad she was going to go have to back and pay for it. Got to the dressing room and wanted to wear it, and it was the wrong size. So she had to tiptoe back down and say, I needed it another size. Sounds like something that would happen to me. I told y'all a few weeks ago when, do you remember when Henry Cho was coming and he couldn't come at the last minute?
I remember.
Yeah, we all remember. And I went running downstairs and I got a stack of my tablets, like right here. And I have ideas after ideas. I've been keeping these tablets like this for 30 or 40 years. And I thought, let me just start telling some stories that they don't know and see if they think it will work. And we've done that now, some for 3 weeks, and I've got some I'm going to do here. The funny thing was, I was flying this week to come here out of the Greensboro High Point, Winston-Salem Regional Triad Piedmont International Airport, 35 miles from where I live. There's a very young woman in the gift shop. After I'd gotten through security, I went in and said, do you have any tablets? Because I was working on material coming. And she was totally lost. Remember, young people think of tablets and they think of something
like an
Pills.
iPad.
iPad.
I think
But
Right.
this
pills.
young woman said, we might have some over here. And y'all, you don't have to make stuff like this up. She reached to the counter and she said, I said, they come in yellow and white. And she said, well, these sinus tablets are white, but I don't know of any yellow tablets that we have in the shop. And I said, oh, thank you so much. So that's the kind of stuff. But we're going to start off by giving prizes away. And the first prize is, Tony, get ready because you've got all the names there. Remember, we're doing it by the month now. So these are the people who have submitted their names for April. And folks, next week is May 1st. So next week, if you submit your names this week, your odds go up that you can win a prize next week.
We'll start a new bag this week.
All right, Tony, this is for a regular gift, and they can choose the book. Oh, Tony, I'm coming home tomorrow, and if I sign something and you got it out Monday, would it get placed as Mother's Day? Probably not.
Yeah, well,
You think so? Say it again.
Wait, I couldn't hear you. What'd you ask?
If I come home tomorrow, which I'm coming home midday, and then you've gotten some orders for this book,
Right.
and I sign it for somebody's mother. We
Right.
ship it either to the mother or to them.
Right.
It goes out Monday.
Yeah, that's good. We're still 2 weeks. Mother's Day's 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, good. That's when
Jeannie.
You're good. You're
Jeannie.
good.
Okay. Well,
Jeannie,
All right. I have the
Yes.
first
do you
winner.
know what will definitely arrive by Mother's Day?
oh,
A download of your audiobook that can be found at storejeannerobertson.com.
okay. Everybody raise your hand if you think that Patrick gets a commission on the download of the audio version of.
Okay.
Thanks, Patrick. But we're not going to give the audio book away right now. So the person who wins, we're going to give away 3. The person who wins, right now, can choose
Okay.
this book and tell me where
All
to
right.
find it.
Are you
Wait.
ready?
No, I'm going to have to tell them, or they can choose CDs, DVDs, this hat that's backstage on me, and back on the back of the sofa. All right, who's the winner, Tony?
The first winner is Linda Blanton Baker. And I don't know where she's from. She
Hold
said
on.
hello.
Okay. Okay. If y'all will put your town names, I like to see if I can just out of the clear pull up a story from where you're from. I love to do that. That's a challenge. So Linda Blanton Baker, is somebody writing that down, McPig?
I
You
wrote
write
it down. I wrote it down.
All right.
I wrote it
You're
down.
So
the
I've got
winner,
a story
Linda.
I've got a story about a Blanton.
No, I'm scared to ask you.
First of all, I'm enjoying some Pringles right now. I
Oh, thanks a lot, Patrick.
I had
Last-
a 4th grade principal named Mr. Blanton. And back then, they used to paddle students who got out of line. And of course, I got paddled just about every week. And I remember they had to have another teacher come in and observe just so there was no, and so I remember I had to bend over, grab my ankles, and he paddled me. And the other teacher, she burst into tears. And I remember looking up saying, what are you crying for?
That's saying, Patrick.
Well,
No matter how many times.
that was
You
Alabama in
still-
the 80s.
That's right. Well, no, that was the whole country in the 80s, I think. But okay. So who's the next one, Tony?
Okay, I haven't drawn yet. Ready?
Okay.
Okay, this is for the same assortment of prizes they may pick, right?
Yes.
Okay, let me get it open. It is Jody Aldridge.
From where?
Nowhere, no idea. Jody, Jody Aldridge, Aldridge. Okay, I've got it down.
Okay, and is that all three?
No, that's
Or is
two.
it two? Okay, draw again right now. We'll move on. I tell y'all, one time I was in Winston-Salem and I was in the ladies' restroom, and two women came in, and I was speaking at the banquet, and they were talking. They were not in the stalls. I was in the stall. One of them said, "Are you staying for all of this?" And she said, "Yeah, I'll have to, because they're giving away a TV as a door prize, but you have to be present. Got to sit through that lady's speech to have even a chance of winning." So,
Did you tell her you also had to sit through that lady's
I
speech?
know it's no fun, I'll tell you. All right,
Okay,
who's
the
winner?
third winner is Katie O'Neill. O'Neal. Katie.
Where's she
Katie.
from? Where's she from?
No. They don't have it
Y'all
on
start
there.
putting where you're from on your questions.
That'd be great, because this gives me something to try to see if I can show off and pull up a story from where you're from. I don't have stories for everywhere. But before I tell a couple of the stories I'm working on right now, can you step over here, Al? We got something that's going to save y'all heartache and money if this applies to you. Y'all know this is Al McCree. I'm so glad you can come over here and sit next to me, Al, because everybody else thinks you're hiding behind the sofa and that's your hat on your head right there. Okay, so what do you need to tell everybody?
Well, first of all, thanks everybody for being such big fans. A lot of tickets now are starting to go on sale. Now that the COVID vaccinations are out there, everybody can pretty much get vaccinated if they want to be. The venues are starting to open up, and we have tickets that are going to be on sale. And Jeanne has a very aggressive touring schedule for the fall of this year and into the spring of next year. So two shows went on sale this week. Kansas City on August 28th went on sale this week, and also Greenville, South Carolina went on sale. She does have shows for sale right now on sale. Shipshewana on June 9th. That would be the next big show. Indiana. Omaha, Nebraska on June 27th. And then Greenville, August 14th. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina is on sale August 20th. Coming up week after next, the first week in May, Wichita, Kansas will go on sale for August 27th, and Orlando, September 28th, as well as Birmingham and Atlanta, which is in October. But pay attention to Jeanne's website and to Facebook, and we'll give you the proper links. Very important that you get the correct link. There's scalpers out there. There are unscrupulous people out there. If you just Google Jeanne Robertson tickets, you're going to get a lot of ticket sites that are secondary ticketing sites, and you're going to charge you way more money for tickets than is appropriate. So the way to know how to be on the right site is to go to Jeanne's Open to the Public page. It'll always be the correct link, or go to the actual venue itself. For example, in Greenville, if you go to the Peace Center, that's the actual venue, then you'll sure get the right ticket. But if you go to Vivid Tickets or Ticket Public or all kinds of different ticketing sites, you're going to pay too much. And the real challenge here is if for some reason the show gets canceled, you're not going to be able to get your money back. One, you're going to pay too much money for the ticket. And the second thing is you can't get your money back if you have to cancel for some reason.
And we've been telling them this for a long time, but never has it become more important than during COVID, because they will push the shows back 3 months, and you can't come on that day. You've got something else that you cannot come. So you want to go back and get your money. And it's like, who are you? We don't know anything about you. And then y'all call us. We don't have your money.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, so, and the theater doesn't either. So we're just trying to make sure. And this is not just for us. This is for anything that you're buying over the internet. Really, secondary markets may appear great, but they come with some challenges.
Right. So just pay attention to this Facebook page. We'll always have the correct information there. And also go to Jeanne's Open to the Public website. It will also have the correct links and also all the upcoming schedules. So if you want to know whether Jeanne's coming to your town or not, just go to the website. And if the ticket is not on sale yet, you can click on a thing called Early Access. And if you sign up on the Early Access page for a ticket, for example, you can do that right now for Atlanta. then we'll send you an email as soon as the tickets go on pre-sale with the code word. You'll be the first ones to buy.
Okay, thanks, Al. I appreciate it. You mean to push you up? Okay. So every time I'm looking for stories, remember that sometimes they just fall out of a tree and happen, and you don't need to work on them. You don't need anything about how to put a punchline, although I believe in collecting punchlines that I just hear a line. Like what happened with her telling me that the sinus tablets were white, but she didn't have any medicine that was yellow. When I'm looking for it, right, that's not really a huge story, but you don't let that get away. I jot that down in a tablet and go from there. So let me just tell you one that happened with Left Brain, and I've been working on it and trying to get ready to tell it. He began to tell me that we needed to buy a new car and a new automobile, some form of transportation, because we were having every so often in North Carolina bad storms in the winter, ice, snowstorms, and we didn't have a car that had something, and I think it was 4-wheel drive or something that was very important. He wanted to buy a new something, and that was the whole thing. We had a perfectly good car. We had two, but he sold one, and he bought this great new car, and we were going to be able to get out of snow ditches and do things that we had never done in our lives, but we might need to do that. In where I live in North Carolina, Burlington and Graham, North Carolina, Alamance County, if you get to the interstate and you go in one direction, you go toward Greensboro to the airport there. You can go the other direction. One is that's heading west. The other direction toward Raleigh-Durham. The two airports are actually an hour and a half apart. So we play the odds. We get to see which has got the best prices. Then we also, if there's a storm coming, we see from what direction is the water coming, or the snow or the hurricane, whatever's coming, and we try to fly out of the other one. It's a great advantage because you can go to both. And we had a storm coming in, and they will come through Greensboro, come to us in our county, hit our town, and I know you're not going to believe this, and then just stop. They don't go to Raleigh-Durham. They don't go any further, and this happens over and over. So on this particular trip, I had switched to a flight going out of Raleigh-Durham because there was a storm coming from Greensboro. Got my stuff together. Left Brain was going to take me to the airport. And when I got out there, he had put my bags and the stuff I was taking in the old car. And I promise y'all, after buying this car, I said, why aren't we taking the car with the 4-wheel drive and all that kind of stuff? And he said, I'm not taking that new car out in this bad weather. What was the purpose of the new car? Was the bad weather? And then he said, no, we're leaving it right in here. It's safe. I can get you to the Raleigh-Durham airport in this car. And after a while, I just gave up, and I thought, this is absurd. We got this safe car over there, and we got on the interstate, I-40, I-85. They run the other way. And we got to a town almost called Efland, E-F-L-A-N-D. All of the people from North Carolina that travel up and down this highway have seen the signs to Efland. And it was just a tiny town over here. And that is when up on the interstate, not down where the town was, up on the interstate, the car just almost stopped. In Steele, we're only 15 miles out of Burlington. Steele, smush, mush, ice, snow. And when it stopped, Left Brain rolled down the window to see what the problem was, because immediately the wipers were covered in ice and weren't moving. So when he did that, then it cut off more and the windows wouldn't go up. So picture, we got it off the road, and now I am going to miss my flight. And he's in a panic. And what I have found the best thing, I wish I could tell all young married people, you don't need to say anything. I remember sitting on the side of the road, and with that window down, trucks going by and splashing icy water and everything in on Left Brain and a little bit toward me on the other side. So I just reached in my purse and got a fingernail file and just started filing my fingernails like I didn't have a care in the world. We were stuck on the side of the road. The car wouldn't go, and we were not going to make my flight. And it was Left Brain's fault, and he knew it. So I didn't really need to say anything. So I just kept filing my fingernails. Finally, he said, the car will go. It's the windshield wipers and the windows and everything like that that's cut off. Some of you are sitting there and you're thinking, it's the alternator. If you're thinking that, you're right. It was the alternator. So we got our heads out of the window. I would still just be filing my fingernails. I wasn't worried about this. But he'd put his head out and I said, if you can get off, you can go down. There's a filling station. Little bitty filling station. If you drive up and down I-85, I-40 and you see the Eflin side, look down, way down off the bridge, and you'll see this place. Now I think it's a used car lot, but then it was a filling station. We got across the bridge and heads out, creeping along. We got down to that filling station, and it was not one that they can't help you. This man ran this filling station. He came out wiping his hands and he said, what's the problem, folks? We told him, and he looked at me and he said, your heat's going to be off too. And it was. I could tell him that. And he said, go on inside and warm up. Left brain is in a sweat because he knows I've got to get to that airport. He said, man, I'm in trouble. You got to do that. I went inside, and the man had said to me, who owns the filling station, if you see anything in there you want to eat, help yourself. Y'all might want to fix yourself a hot dog. I went in there, and those hot dogs had been rolling for 2 or 3 days on those little things, and then you just didn't want to eat it. But in a few minutes, he came in. He said, you all right? I said, yes, sir, but I don't believe I want a hot dog right now. Y'all going to be able to fix the car. That was my main thing, get to the Raleigh-Durham airport. And he said, well, we're working on it. And he went back outside. Unbeknownst to me, we had had a little chit-chat, and he left. By then, Left Brain had seen a truck, the man's truck, over to the side and the parking in this filling station. And when the man came back out, he said, Mister, I really got a problem. My wife has got to get to the Raleigh-Durham airport. Does your truck run? And he said, yeah, it sure does. It's mine. I rode over here in it this morning. And he said, you don't know me and I don't know you, but I'm a man in trouble. I didn't bring out the card. He told him, he said, I got to get her over there. Would you loan me your truck to go in this weather to the Raleigh-Durham airport? And I'll leave my car here, brand new Cadillac 10 years before, I think, but it still looked good. And he said, and I will pay you $75 cash. And the man said, Mister, just wiping his hands, he said, I would like to help you out. I'm a married man, and I can tell you are in a bind, but I'm going to have to turn your offer of $75 down. Just now inside, your wife offered me $400 cash for the same thing. and I had, my goal is get to the airport. So he said, I'm not, and then he got the alternator fixed. And he said, I'll let you take your truck, but I'm going to have to take up your wife's deal, not yours. So in a minute, he got the alternator. He said, you can drive this thing to the airport. If you want to stop back by here, going back to Alamance County, do. But I think you're going to be okay. I've changed the whole thing and everything. Got in the car. Left Brain, all he could think about was not getting me to the airport. He said, why did you offer him $400? What, are you nuts? And I said, well, why did you offer him $75? Just $75? He said, I was going to go up. If he hedged, I was going to keep going up till I got to where he wanted. Why did you offer him $400? And I said, like everybody who has a right brain would think, I said, because I have $400 cash. I thought Left Brain was going to run off the road. I actually had $500, but I needed $100 for the trip. When I told him that later, he said, why were you taking $500 if you just needed emergencies? Okay. I've never told that story. I think it's a clever story. It's a true story, of course. Not sure that the $400 that I had because I had $400. It would have to be, it couldn't be like you couldn't just walk out at the Opry and tell that story. It's not funny enough. I haven't established anywhere that Left Brain is so left brain and that he is so frugal and all that. But I think it's a good story. But I would like for y'all to tell me if you think cute, but not going anywhere. Could be, could easily be. Or you can say, no, I think it needs working on. Or you could say, these are the two lines I love to hear. I love to hear Patrick Henry say these because he can think of lines as quick as anybody I've ever seen. What I thought you were going to say is, remember that question. When you tell a story and somebody comes up to you and says, what I thought you were going to say was or is, then you won't hear that because it's often funnier than what you said. And so let me know what you're saying, Patrick.
Barbara.
Have you ever heard that story?
No, I haven't. But Barbara Steinbrower has the best line. Yes, I laughed out loud to myself.
Okay. always. Thank you, Barbara. But I think it's got possibilities because it fits in with, it's true and it fits in. And I'm going to tell you, and every time I pass, do y'all remember y'all were driving me on what we were going down to Charleston, South Carolina? Every time y'all drive me in that direction, Al and Peg McCree, I'm saying, there's that little place in Eflin. I got to tell that story. So y'all let me know what you think. Any comments or ideas so far? We'll go on.
They like the story. This is, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Tony.
Okay. Jeannie.
Yes.
An interesting side note of the story, which we did not know till just now. Our friend Jeanne Mann,
Yeah,
her husband Johnny used to own that filling station.
you got to be kidding.
No,
Jeanne
she just
Mann,
put that in here.
War Eagle Auburn, Jeanne Mann.
Yes, War Eagle Auburn, Jeanne Mann. Johnny used to apparently own that. I knew he owned some property different places, but he owned that filling station. I looked at that station yesterday coming back from that direction. It's just the only little thing down there.
Well, let me ask Jeanne. Jeanne, did your husband run it? Was he wasn't the man that was out there that owned it? This was the owner of the shop.
I don't know, but he may have had managers. She'll tell us.
Okay.
She's on. She'll answer you.
This person says, why does it have to be true? Well, when it's true, I take the true part and then I do stretch it. Sometimes people say, oh, all your story's true. No. It's called embellishment. It's called stretching it. But right there is the kernel. But what we may come up with it stretches it a little bit. I think everybody does that. And I'm known for telling life experience stories that I have seen or lived. And so I don't tell any jokes. I have
sometimes we just remember it funnier than it happened.
Well, Jeanne just said, yes, he did run it and he managed it and he ran it. And when was that? If she knew the year, we could figure out if he was the man.
Wouldn't that be funny? Because you have lunch with Jeanne about once a month.
We're due right now, aren't we, Jeanne? Check on me next week.
Okay. Why does it have to be true? Well, a lot of the things that I say, this happened. You don't want, if you are a speaker, here is a valuable tip. If you're telling stories and you stop and say, and comedians or people do it all the time, and they say, now this one is a true story. It really happened. So what have you just told your audience?
You lie.
The rest of the stories aren't.
Right.
If you stop and say, this is a true story. Well, what do you mean? The others weren't true? And so I don't want to say that but I'm telling y'all, I get my ideas from true things that happen. And of course, then when you make characters, you never use somebody's name without their permission. You don't just throw their name in a story. You get their permission because they can get upset. I think I need to tell y'all what happened in education circles. I had a speech in Florida, and it was to a big school system. School systems have those in-service days when they go back, or they have big meetings on Martin Luther King holidays. The convocations, they bring them in, they have a speaker, and then they go back to their rooms and work. So I have done through the years a lot of those, and I was in Florida, in the panhandle of Florida area. And when I spoke, they were all teachers. And when it was over, a woman came up to me and said, you got time for a story? I always have time for a story. I said, absolutely. Just wait a minute. Let me talk to these people. And I got it. And when I went over to her, she said, I'm an elementary teacher. And she told me a story and I burst out laughing. it was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. And I said, I can't even remember it now. And I said to her, this happened in your classroom? And she said, yes, it did. And I said, I may want to use this. She said, well, I thought you might. And I said, can I have your name to give you credit because this didn't happen? And she's, no, 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 no. You just go on and use it. This is a clue. This thing probably didn't happen to her. But I said to myself, left brain is an elementary principle. In a week, I was speaking in Michigan, in Traverse City, Michigan, to a statewide meeting of educators. They had the national president in the day before. It was a big deal. And this was a perfect place for me to say, let me tell you about something that happened in my husband's school. That's a lie. Why? If it's a funny story, they're going to laugh. Why lie? But I thought about it. I thought about saying, I could just say this happened in my classroom or left brain's classroom. But when I got up for some reason, and there must have been 750 of them there, I said I was speaking in Florida a couple of weeks ago at an education meeting. And when I finished, a woman came up and told me a story that happened in the classroom. And I think you'll enjoy it too. That's what I said. And I started telling the story. And something went wrong in the room. There was a change. They had been laughing and laughing, and they liked me and everything. But I quickly knew something was wrong. And I stopped and I said, what's wrong? What's going on that I don't know about? And the woman on the front row said, the national president was here yesterday, and that's the story she's telling everywhere she goes.
Oh.
And I was safe because I was able to say, the woman in Florida lied to me. A teacher lied to me. I can't believe that. But I didn't say it happened to me, or I would have had egg all over my face. You lose credibility as a speaker, and we're not talking about it. So when people say, does it have to be true? I get my ideas from that. You did too, Al. But I'd be very careful about saying this happened to me. And there is a certain thing called urban legend. Have you heard of urban legends? They float around the computer. And people will come up and swear to you after a speech. And they're telling you the biscuit dough exploded on her neck. And she said, my brains are out. On my, these stories fly around.
That happened to me.
Oh, yeah. They'll say, no, that happened to me. That happened to me. They got on the elevator and picked a star. And he had a big Doberman Pinschers, and they were from a small town. They were almost afraid of him. He was a big guy. And he said, sit. And the ladies drop on the elevator floor and sit down. That's floated around forever. And so you can't always, and usually the people telling you the stories got it from a cousin who swore it happened to Aunt Susie May.
Well, by the time they finish telling it, they think it happened to them.
They do. They honestly get to the point where, no, those were my cousins, Jeannie, that happened. But if you're the professional who comes in and you say it happens to you, we had somebody come to the National Speakers Association, and he was a coach, and he had done very well in coaching. And on stage, you might have been there, Al. He started telling the story about the blind football player that said, can you please put me in, coach? My daddy's died.
First time my daddy saw me play.
First time my daddy saw me will see me play. Oldest joke in the book. Now, he was telling at the speakers convention, and everybody there had their finger punching in the back of somebody near them, like, don't we laugh? So you want to go in with stories maybe they haven't heard. Okay, let's give some more prizes. Patrick, you get ready to sing, and then I got some more stories I want to try.
Okay.
What'd you say?
Well, can y'all hear me okay? People are saying they're having a hard time hearing me. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay.
What'd you say?
Yeah, I need to get on the mic better. Thank you, y'all, for your comments.
I can hear you, but that could be because I'm 20 feet away.
In the same room.
In the same room. Okay.
So wait a minute. Were you going to say something, Patrick, or you were just checking the mic?
Well, no, it was funny. You mentioned a teacher story. I mean, it reminded me of a story that actually did happen to my aunt's second cousin's friend. No, I come from, my mother was a teacher. Her mother was a teacher. Just lots of family of teachers. My wife's a teacher. And my aunt, Beverly, I believe it was Aunt Beverly, my mother's aunt, had an irate parent in her classroom. and she was just yelling at her saying, "You called my son a dirty elephant. You called my son a dirty elephant." And she's like, "I've never called your son a
Dirty
And then all of a
elephant.
sudden it hit her. Her son went home and said, "My teacher called me a dirty elephant." What she said was, "You are a disturbing element."
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
All
Are
right.
you ready for a prize winner?
I am. Prize me out. Who's it going
Now,
to be?
this is for the general prizes.
Not
Take
the
your pick.
audio book yet.
Right. Okay. The winner is Sylvia Lemley. Lemley. Lemley.
Lemley. Okay.
Lemley. And I do not know where she's from. Sorry.
Maybe people think if they give her town, somebody
But she
might come in their
says, she
house.
does say her niece recommended me to follow you. So she has a niece.
Okay.
She's
And that
Aunt
narrows it
Sylvia.
down.
That narrowed it down. Okay. You need to let Tony know what you want, what you would like to choose as your prize. And Patrick, you be warming up. And so give us another name for another prize. People
I
ask all the time, how do you get your name in?
Yeah, tell them
put
that
on
real quick.
Facebook, how do we get our name in here? Well, you just did. If you posted, we take them down, we chop them up, we throw them in the bag.
Okay.
Comments.
This prize goes to Verna, Verna Christian, Christian. Verna Christian. And I don't know where she's from.
What is this?
Sorry.
What, Patrick? Okay, get another one.
All right, just a minute. Let me write it down. Okay. Okay, this will be the last one of these kind, probably.
Okay.
That'll be 6 prizes. And if you would like, I'll run through the names again that have won, because so they'll be
Don't
sure.
you get letters sometime and somebody's watched one of these and it's 2 months later and you say, I see that my name was called on in October.
And we send them a prize. Okay,
this
is the winner, and she does ask a question, and she's from Springfield, Colorado. Sheila Emick, Emick.
Okay, what's the question?
It says, where do you get the rocking chairs that you give away at your live shows?
Most of the time, these are Cracker Barrel rocking chairs. Al knows. I called him and said, when I broke my femur, I said, I've got a great idea. And I think there was a big game you were watching on TV. And I knew it. I was watching the same game. But he gave me his cell phone and said, call me anytime that you need me. And I called him and I said, and my leg was still in a cast and so forth. And I said, I have a great way how I can get back on the road. And Al, you said, what? And I said, if we can get a rocking chair, if I could sit in a rocking chair, Al, I could believe I could do my shows and get places. You said, that's a great idea. I'll think about that. That's a great idea. And I knew he was trying to get back to the game. And then in a few minutes, I called him again. You told me to call you anytime. I called him again and I said, I have a great idea. I know where we can get rocking chairs. Cracker Barrel. You've seen them. Y'all have seen them out there. You're rocking in. They're got on the front porch of Cracker Barrels. If you're in a place and you've never heard of Cracker Barrels, I'm sorry, but most people have. And these are places that you can eat, and they've got these rocking chairs, and a wire connects them right out front. And Al said, Jeannie, that's great. And then Mr. Nashv'll people says to me, I know these guys in Nashville that work with Cracker Barrel. I'll handle this. I'll call them. Everything will be set up. Now I'm just sitting over there in a small town in North Carolina. I'm just fielding ideas to him and so forth. And he said, I'll handle it. And then he called Monday and he said, well, I've talked to the people at Cracker Barrel. They're not interested. I said, well, I could be there. They could sponsor me. Family friendly humor in a rocking chair. No, he said, no, they're not going to do it. And then I realized I didn't need Cracker Barrel. All I needed was a big pair of wire cutters. Go out there late at night, snap those things in too, and get them out of there. I told that story in Montgomery, Alabama at a show. And the man came up, nice man, but he didn't have a business card, but he had put his name on the end of a popcorn box. And he said, Jeannie, next time you're in Montgomery area, give me a call. This is just strange, man. Give me a call. Bring your wire cutters. I can tell you where to get a pretty good gas grill. Okay. Now, how did that happen? And did they turn us down?
Yes.
Cracker Barrel did turn us down.
They
They did
Certainly
turn
did.
us down.
But that is where you usually get your chairs.
Get the chairs from Cracker Barrel. And then we have two places that won't let us do that. One is in Shipshawana that I'll be in June, because that's Amish country and they make rocking chairs. And they're not real thrilled about you giving away a Cracker Barrel. They don't have a Cracker Barrel chair when they want to give away an Amish handmade done chair. And another was in Gainesville, Georgia. The greatest people had me come in and they said, but you can't give away a Cracker Barrel chair. Why? Because one of the biggest supporters of the arts there is a company that makes rocking chairs. And so you have to be a little flexible. There's no. By the way, when I won the title of Miss North Carolina 57 years ago, I know, but on Sunday night,
Actually, 58 in July, if we want to be exact.
I'm planning to tell that later. Eddie, I can't even get. I'm working on material, and y'all can't even.
If we're gonna be here, we're gonna talk.
Okay.
It's like.
So the next night, the man that owned the Ford dealership in our town called Daddy. He was friends. Daddy was active in a lot of things, and this man was too. And he offered me a Ford convertible for the year. And he said, we'll paint on the sides in script, Miss North Carolina, and she can use it for the whole year. Well, we didn't know anything. We had won the pageant, and we had a parade that afternoon. And then I was getting ready to leave town. And we said, yes, that's wonderful. When we told the JCs, they said, well, there's one problem. So you couldn't get Cracker Barrel. Maybe you could have gotten these people. But Oldsmobile gives a car to every one of the 50 state winners. And we've got a contract with them. And you have to do that. And Daddy said, Daddy's just a good guy, smart guy, but a small town. He said, we can't do that because we didn't get that word until 3 or 4 days later. And it had been in the local paper that they were going to give me the Ford. And Daddy said, we can't do that. We just cannot do that. Talk to them. And because there are people with level heads, the North Carolina JCs talked to the Miss America pageant, and they said, we'll talk to those Mobile people. So all of the contestants that year drove Oldsmobile convertibles, and they had pictures in that. And Jeannie came along in her Ford convertible from Graham, North Carolina, and it was great. So, the sponsorship can be a good thing or bad. Okay, Patrick, I want you to sing. Can you sing us something funny?
Yeah. I think it's funny.
Well, I'll tell you why I think it's funny. I know the song you're going to sing. And the reason is a lot of people who never thought they would be teachers, we've been talking about teachers today, became teachers when COVID came out. One of the best things is somebody saying, Jesus, help me. I don't know math. Help me, please. I can't teach these children anything. And so not only did you become playground instructors and classroom teachers, you also became lunchroom dietitians.
That's right.
So take over, Patrick.
Okay, I'm gonna mute Jeannie. Okay, so yesterday, and this is one thing that a lot of professional speakers have been doing is over the last year we've transitioned into virtual presentations. And so yesterday I gave a speech for the Mid-Michigan Community Action Network. And this is about 200 people who work in Michigan, connecting people who are going through a tough time with services. And a lot of what they do is they run Head Start programs as well. And so they help children. And so I played them this song that I'd written for a group of cafeteria workers that I spoke for one time. And it's called the Lunch Lady Blues. You never forget your first love. That first love is forever tucked away in the moss-covered recesses of your mind. Everything smells sweeter when you're in love for the first time. Food tastes better. Life is good. I remember my first love. How simply being in her presence made me forget what brought me there in the first place. I first saw her back in 1989. I had that loving feeling when her eyes met mine. She was much older than me, but I thought she was fine. Forbidden love in the cafeteria line. Now I got the lunch lady. I miss my lunch lady blues. Yeah, I love that gal from her hairnet to her sensible shoes. I knew I couldn't have her, but that didn't stop my love. I dreamed of holding her hand through her polyethylene glove. She must have sensed how I felt. She always called me baby. Serve my mashed potatoes with an extra side of gravy. Now I got the lunch lady. I miss my lunch lady blues. Yeah, I love that gal from her hairnet to her sensible Rockport shoes. If I didn't like it, she'd ask me to try it. She was like Joan of Arc fighting for a well-balanced diet. She said, child, I want you to eat all your green beans. I choked down everyone that licked the styrofoam tray clean. Now I got the lunch lady. I miss my lunch lady blues. Yeah, I love that gal from her hairnet to her sensible shoes. Well, corn dogs and pizza and chicken pot pie. She was the apple juice box of my young eye. I'd do anything if I thought it would please her. She was the queen of my heart and of the walk-in freezer. Now I'm happily married and she rarely comes to mind. But sometimes I think about her when I'm in a buffet line. Late at night when the kids are tucked away in bed, my wife puts on sexy lingerie and a hairnet on her head. Cause I got the lunch lady. I miss my lunch lady blues. Yeah, I love that gal from her hairnet to her sensible shoes. Yeah, I love that gal and her food nutrition pyramid. My apron wearing mama so fine in all that she did. Adherence to compliance with minimal defiance. I miss my lunch lady blues.
All right. Hey, yay, Patrick.
Here we go.
Okay. You got me unmuted.
I got you.
Patrick, that was great. I love that song.
Thank
Brings
you.
back a lot of memories to all of us.
I love playing it in front of about 1,000 school nutrition workers too. It gets loud.
I think that you've got that up on the
YouTube.
internet when you would, was it the Texas Nutrition?
Yeah, part of it. Yeah. It's I spoke for the Texas School Nutrition Association.
Lunchroom ladies.
That's right. Patrick Henry, Lunch Lady Blues. Google it.
Okay, what you got? All right, Val's passing me a note. Okay, is she on, or are you reminding me to mention? Okay, next week, the first week in May, I'll have on Karen Morgan will be on. She's not going to be in Burlington, but she's going to be on the big screen. And she runs, what, 2 or 3 comedy festivals up there in New England? What in the world is she doing living in New England? She's from Georgia.
She's from Athens, Georgia, but she married a guy from Boston and they moved to Maine.
Okay. She is very funny. She's been in my competition several times, and classy lady, does a lot. Got 2 kids in college, you know, this kind of thing. But Karen Morgan. And so a lot of you have asked about her. You like her and you wanted her on, and she's very graciously going to give us next Saturday. And remember, any questions that you write this week about Karen or what you do, put your town if you can, but that throws your name into the box for the prize drawings the next time. So when these are a couple of possibilities. One I know works well because I've told it. It's not in the current rotation, but this is what happened. When you win a pageant, you know, they take you right away and they start working with you to get better. to get you ready to go to the Miss America pageant to lose, we always jokingly said. And they were afraid, just because of the way I talk and all this kind of stuff, and being from a small town, that I was not up on etiquette. This really ticked my mother off. She kept saying, "What do you mean? We're from Alabama. What does she mean she's not up on etiquette?" My things all messed up. And they had taught me things like, if you're at the head table and you're the guest of honor, you wait until everyone at the head table has been served before you pick up your knife or fork or whatever. They're waiting on you. Normally you do this at any table of 8 or 10, but especially if you're at the head table. I booked a speech at the Greensboro, North Carolina Country Club. Of course, being from Graham, North Carolina, about 15 miles away, we know about Greensboro. We know they had a country club over there, but I'd never been to the Greensboro Country Club. And now here I am going, I have a crown on my head. I'm in a long gown. And the two women who had worked with me, I mean, a crash course in etiquette. When we walked in, they came over and grabbed me and said, "Do you know what you're supposed to be doing tonight in this situation? You're at the head table and you're the center. You know, like, tell us what you're supposed to do, Jeannie." Like I didn't know, like I hadn't had high school home ec. I learned all this stuff. And I told them, I said, "I wait till everybody's been served." And they said, "That's right. That's right. Remember, you're the guest of honor." So, of course, we were sitting down up there. And that was one of those meals that had more than one course. They kept bringing food and everybody's being polite and everybody's dressed up. And I'm talking to the people on my right and talking to the people on my left. And every time they brought a course of food, I would look and find those two women that were working with the pageant way out there in the audience. And they would look at me like, "Do you know what you're supposed to?" I'd say, I got it. I got this. You know, and then I would wait until everyone was served at the head table, and I would pick up my knife, fork, whatever, and start. And sure enough, like on cue, everyone else at this formal thing would pick up theirs. Well, after about 6 courses, my Graham, North Carolina stomach told me that it was time for dessert. And at that time, they had cleared everything, and they brought in a bowl about this big and put it in front of me. And I looked down to see what kind of soup it was, and it was clear. It looked like water to me, but it had a lemon floating around down in there. And I thought, this is some new type lemon dessert. And I waited while they served the people on the right, and I smiled at them and kept looking down the table. And I looked and the people on the left, and I picked up my spoon and I just went right on in. It was a finger bowl. I'm supposed to put my hands in there and wash them and let the lemon cut off everything. 3 people at the head table picked up their spoons and went right on in behind me. Well, that lasted a while. I mean, it was terrible. The 2 women out in the place were just falling, you know, into the bowls, trying to get my attention. And I had a spoon in my mouth like this. I knew to go spoon out from high school home ec. I knew the right way to even do my spoon, but I didn't know that it was really water with a lemon in it. So I traveled about the whole year and never saw another finger bowl. And I didn't know whether people really don't use them anywhere but the Greensboro Country Club anymore, or the word spread that she doesn't know what one is. But about halfway through the year, I went back to the Greensboro Club, and I know they're still talking about me in the kitchen, even though it's been all this year. And there was a reception. It was not as formal as before, but there was a reception. And I was making chit chat. I think I make chit chat very well. I can go up to strangers. I love to ask people, "Well, tell me what you like to do," these kind of things. And I asked it, and they came along, and they were serving hors d'oeuvres. They had and of course, Miss North Carolina would never have an alcoholic drink. You were not doing that, but they weren't even allowed to have them. If I was present, I'd have to go in the other room or something. But they also were serving the women and men had picked up little glasses of wine and whatever. And they had this food on a tray. And I was standing talking to one, and I had on those long gloves, but I knew to take one of them off. I mean, I was trained. I knew what I was doing. And they came along with cheeses on a tray and said, "Would you like one?" And I said, "Yes." And I was talking to 2 or 3 people. And I reached down and I picked up a wedge of cheese like a triangle. and it was pretty. It had red all the way around it, but it was red plastic, thick red plastic. Had the cheese inside the plastic. And then with all the poise that I had gained that entire, I put that whole thing right in my mouth and started trying to chew down on that red plastic in front. And these three people went looking, and I'm chewing, and I think it's the closest I've ever come to pulling out at one time all of my teeth, because the teeth got stuck in the red plastic and I couldn't get it. And eventually I chewed so much that the cheese began to disappear, but that red plastic wasn't going anywhere.
At least you didn't try to wash your hands in the potato soup.
I know. Yes. And so it seemed like later, thinking about it, what finally happened, some caring woman came up with a napkin and said, if you want to spit that red plastic in, here you go. What a kind person. Now it's awkward to get that napkin up here and take down a whole big thing of red plastic. So do y'all think that those two stories together? Should I stop after the finger bowl, make them two different stories? I think you can see both of them happening, and of course they did.
I think you ought to stop with the finger bowl story, and the woman next to you says, "Don't worry, that man was washing his fingers in it."
Oh no, no. All right. Does anybody have another suggestion? Did Patrick, you ever use? Oh, Pat, you raise your arm, Al. Did you have a suggestion? Oh, I know what you want me to do. Al helps me, reminds me to be, on the ball here, and I'm looking at the clock. So I, by the way, was at the Greenbrier. I have had another story from the Greenbrier, and they had 8 courses. I didn't know you could have an 8-course meal. And I was the speaker, and everybody said, isn't this lovely? And if you're the speaker, you're thinking, oh yes, this is lovely. And you're going to get introduced around 11:30, but that's part of it. Okay. Any comments, Peg, Tony, from the people on your page?
Oh, they love the finger bowl, and I think I'm just getting comments on the cheese.
I think the cheese needs a lot of working on, but it happened. And I just wrote, you remember yesterday, Tony, I said, read me off some things on the tablets I left there. And you read off red cheese.
Right.
Said, oh yeah. I forgot that story.
It's not plastic, it's wax.
It's
right?
real thick wax,
Isn't
I
it
think.
wax?
Yeah, but it looks like plastic, feels like plastic.
Well, if I could have chewed it long enough, I could have made myself a set of those plastic lips. I know it. Okay, well, time is going to run out here a minute.
It is about gone. Don't forget to give the audio book.
Your clock goes off a minute early here. The clock goes off a minute. Okay,
So
that person said.
Well, it'll only go once,
Jeannie,
so
we
it's
don't
1
have
o'clock.
sponsors,
No.
so we can go as long as we want.
We do what?
No, it's too noon here.
We don't have sponsors. We can go as long as we want.
I know. No, but it's till noon here because I'm an hour earlier. It's time for me to go to bed and get up and go to the Grand Ole Opry. So look at what I got, Patrick. 7 CDs in here that you get a percentage on, and I do
That's
too.
right.
Are we getting the same percentage?
I should say you do get a percentage.
I should say I get a better one. All right, then inside this is 3 CDs, and of course the other one has 4. These are proven to be nice things to take to a facility where people have had to stay inside for all this time. There's the 4th one. So, and so this is our more expensive item. Patrick gets a percentage. I get a percentage.
Okay, are you?
All proceeds go to feed the children.
My
children.
Patrick's children. Okay, are you ready?
This is going to be the winner of this. Now, if the person who gets it says, I really want the book, then Tony will take care of it. She'll trade it all off. But this is something nice you could loan to people and they could do it.
Okay, I'm reaching.
Excuse me.
Ready?
Be quiet. Everybody be quiet. Do you hear their clock chiming?
No, don't hear
You
it.
don't hear that clock chiming?
No.
Holy cow, cats are running out of here.
Your computer
Okay.
has a microphone that only picks up what's in front of it.
Okay, well, I'm not going to get up and run over there to this big chiming clock. So give us the name of the person who won this week.
I'm reaching deep into the April bag, which will go away after today, right?
Yes, it will.
Okay, let me see who I got here.
Just any time, Tony.
Ruby Quest. Quest.
Ruby Quest.
No, wait a minute. Now it's confusing because under it says Sherry Chalk.
Okay, these sound like made up names.
Ruby.
Sherry Chalk, Ruby Quest.
All right, if
superheroes.
that's one person, then they'll win. But why don't we draw another one in case that's not?
Well,
I mean,
why do y'all think that's not their name?
Well, because it's two names. There's a name at the top, and then it says Sherry Chalk.
No, I can tell you what. Ruby was writing something to Cherry Chalk. They both names show up.
Okay, well, you won't give two prizes
you have
then?
to. There's no way you can't give two prizes.
Now I have to give two books. Sorry. Ruby Quest and Sherry, Cherie, Chalk.
Now, don't everybody start listing everybody you know on your own entry from now on. So, Tony, these two women should get in touch with you and get this straight.
Right, and they can both win if they both are people. I assume they are.
They not be people.
Well, the Sherry Chalk is apparently from Houston, and I don't know about Ruby Quest.
Where's she from?
Quest. The second one, Sherry Chalk, is from Houston, and I don't know about where Ruby's from. And just
I was in Houston last weekend, and the Pringles can fell on my computer and cut off everything. We got it straight. Okay, y'all. We've had a good time, and I hope. And thanks. Any inputs you give me on the stories I'm working on, I think the one that happened in Eflin with Jerry is a good story. I think the Finger Bowl story is a story that is ready to tell. So I think the red cheese story is something I'm working on. I think the tablets, that just happened Thursday when I was leaving Greensboro, but that's a way to work in. That's something you say that might work into a longer story later. And I'll see y'all next week. We'll be back on my porch, and it sounds like Patrick's going to be there. So good. And Tony will. All right, y'all. Bye. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Peg. I appreciate it.
She's a heck of a lot of fun, Jeanne Robertson. Oh, she's a heck of a